Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
What's new with you today?
So we're just wrapping up the school year,
Oh,
which is wrapping up your career.
yeah. I'm excited.
We're so close. It's coming this week, the end of the week.
Yeah.
It's going to be it.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yes.
And I'm still going to be doing it.
Well,
But hey, that's what I want to do. So,
well, yes. Life is filled with all kinds of changes and adjustments. And
it is. And along with that, we're going to see, potentially changes and adjustments here at school that I think affect our topic today.
Oh.
But, we're looking at legislature, looking at banning cell phones for students in schools.
Yes.
No idea how that's going to play out.
No.
I don't think anybody's been giving any money to make that happen, So it's going to be interesting, but, potentially your child in Texas, at least, would not be able to use their phone in school at all. Like it would be illegal.
Yeah.
Which is different than just having a board policy, right? Or a school policy on it. It doesn't leave quite as much leeway.
Well,
which is good from a teacher perspective, because then I can say it's not my fault, right? This is a law. But I've talked to some students about it.
Yeah. And
mostly since, you and I both teach seniors, they don't really care.
Yeah.
Because they won't be here. But they do say that it sounds like a really good idea, because they feel like it would have helped them. But they're glad that it's not going to be them that's going to have to deal with it. So they actually recognize that they spend too much time on their phone, and that it actually interrupts even if they're not using it, that just its presence interrupts their thinking and their engagement in what they're doing. And of course, we see that every day.
Oh.
When we leave school and we drive away, and half the people are on their phones as we drive away, right? And everybody that we pass, right, is looking at their phone when we pass them. And so it's like we have roads full of drunk drivers, essentially.
So maybe we should clarify that you and I, for about 50% of our commute home, travel together.
Yes.
Or we caravan, so to speak. And so, yes. The number of times that we have indeed passed, and it's not just kids, it's adults too. And and
at the intersection where we kind of go our separate ways, I actually go on to some smaller roads, which is a little bit more dangerous when you're staring at your phone.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of that going on, and I got to say, I'm guilty of having done that in the past myself. But it just seems like some people are doing it all the time.
Yes,
and I have come to a point where I try to resist it, and I say, no, I don't need to pick that up now. And I have Apple CarPlay and all that. And
so do I.
It tells me when there's a message, and I'm tempted to grab it, and then I'm like, no, I'll just look at it in a few minutes, right? Like when I'm stopped and I'm parked, and it's all good, right? And that whatever that is not that urgent, right? I'm literally, I know I'm super important. Right.
You are. You are one of the most important people I know.
I'm really important, and there's a lot of decisions I have to make that are going to just make or break people's lives. And so, but the fact is none of that's true. And if I don't look at that message for another 10 minutes, probably nothing's going to happen. I mean, maybe somebody on the other end is going to get annoyed. Yeah, but they'll get over it.
Well.
And they'd probably rather have me not answer it than kill somebody in order to answer it.
And I don't know that I've ever had anybody send me a text message that was expecting me to respond instantaneously.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times I'll go my entire way home and not use my phone. I mean, I got it because I'm listening to my audiobook or a podcast or something like that. And so I won't know that I got any notification until I get home. Mm-hmm. And so, but I know that a lot of young people, and again, we talked about this with Cameron Gibson, a couple of months back, and the idea that my kids for 90 minutes cannot keep their phone away. And it will be, I will be glad to say goodbye to teaching for that primary purpose of fighting the battle, a losing battle of kids and their phones.
It's tiresome.
And
especially when you have the parent texting the kid during class.
Oh, yeah. And I have a sister. I won't mention her by name, Deanna, but she would do that to her kids.
Yeah.
And she would go, well, I need them to know this, or, well, I want to know this from them. And, well, I need to know. And I get it, but at the same time,
it's fine, because when I text people at 11 at night, I don't really expect them to answer until 4 in the morning. So, you can text somebody and not expect an answer, but the problem is that the kids don't live that way.
No,
and most adults don't. Now you get that you get that text, it gets your instant attention.
Yes,
and there's all kinds of books about about those kinds of things. And, how effective are you at anything if you are constantly being interrupted by other people who are trying to grab your attention, right? Because you can only do one thing at a time. No matter what you say, no matter what anybody says, they cannot do two things at once.
No.
Right? Even patting your head and rubbing your tummy is still one thing.
Well, yeah.
So it's not something that you can do. You can't do two things at the same time.
So what do we do about it?
So I just think that the large amount of time that we spend looking at these devices and being distracted by them, it's an addiction.
Oh, yeah.
And what do you do with addictions? You have to break them, right? You have to detox from them.
Okay.
You have to come down from that, whatever high that you're on with that addiction. So
I've tried that with Dr. Pepper many times.
You can't give it up.
I can't give it up.
I mean, I don't think that's an addiction. That's just Dr. Pepper is a healthful drink, but it's just you gotta get away from it. Mm-hmm. And some people do these digital detox things for a day.
Okay.
And the research we've been looking at suggests that you do it maybe for a day, right? Maybe do it on a Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Take one day and the entire family just don't look at your phones. Probably nothing will happen that you need to know about that instantly, right?
Okay.
Play some games, go out for a walk, do something outside,
watch a movie.
Do something that's not going to be on that kind of a platform where you're watching SVAs or you're those short videos or you're texting people back and forth or sending memes, whatever. Just get away from it and actually have some relationship.
Do you think that is really feasible? I mean, you think about today's kids. Anybody, crying out loud, anybody 20 and under probably can't remember life without the internet or without a smartphone.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, that's a problem. But they recognize it as an issue.
True. Okay.
So anybody who recognizes it, that's the first step, right? Is that right?
Yes. Recognizing you have a problem is the first step to correction.
That's the first step. So now you got to take it one step further and say, well, what do I do about the problem? Well, saying I'm going to get rid of my cell phone isn't going to work because everybody nowadays needs a cell phone, right? Try to get a job, try to do your banking, try to, it's hard, right?
Okay.
It's much easier with the phone, but what do you do? Well, you got to do something small, right?
Okay.
I mean, I've had students tell me, I'm done with TikTok. I'm getting rid of it.
Okay. But what are they replacing it with?
Or I'm going to stop using it for a month.
Okay.
Right. I mean, even that's a detox, right?
True. Yeah.
And when you come back to it, you might not want it as much.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, I mean, it's just a matter of what can you do that's a little And I think that, a day a week or a day every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Of saying no phones today.
And then maybe build from
and
that.
Let's go do something that involves no phones. We'll go ride bikes. We'll go on a hike. We'll, do whatever. Just go to the mall, but shop and not look at your phone, right?
Well,
bring one of those physical credit cards.
Yes.
You don't have to do the electronic pay.
Well, I will say this, that in March of this year, a Harris poll was basically stating something similar to that 73, or I'll rephrase that. Let me read this exactly instead of trying to interpret it. But basically, 60% of parents say that their children have been using technology since before they could read. So they were playing a video game. I have a nephew that was playing games on a phone by age 2.
Oh, my goodness.
But that nearly 75%, so in fact, their numbers was 73% of parents admit that their children could benefit from a detox from technology.
Yeah.
And of those 73%, 68% were parents of children that had children under the age of 6.
Right.
And so, but my first question is, why did mom and dad give these kids a phone, some kind of electronic device, a tablet, at such a young age?
But I think that goes back to, what we were talking about last week. And sometimes the parents just don't have the resilience, right? Sometimes the parents need to, get their thoughts together, and they can't deal with the situation at the moment. So it's just, here's this device.
Well, do
this thing.
Okay. My parents aren't any different than parents today. But I remember growing up being told, would you just go outside and play? Go out and ride your bike. Go find something to do.
But we don't do that as much because we perceive that outside is dangerous.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Interesting.
That's probably a whole other podcast, but, perception becomes our reality.
True.
I was reading a book recently that says, what you see is all there is. And that's an interesting statement. I mean, that's our instant perception. So if we see a plane crash, we instantly think, I'm not getting on a plane.
Oh, I get on planes all the time.
Right, I do too. But a lot of people, that's their reaction. Right?
Okay.
I mean, there's a car crash on a particular road. No, I'm not going to drive that road.
Okay.
Right. I mean.
Okay.
So even though the likelihood of anything happening to you is slim to none. Usually way less than 1%. It's what we see, so it's what we think, right? And it's what we do.
Well, okay, building on that, on what you're saying. So doing a little digging here, in another survey, another research study was saying that 3 in 5 parents report. So we're talking, doing the math, 61%. All right. So 61% of parents report that their children do not do enough healthy activities such as playing outside with friends. My goodness, we played outside. We came home from school. We did our homework as fast as we could so we could go play with the other kids in the neighborhood, playing different kinds of games, tag to kickball, you name it. But as I think about it, wherever I've lived, I don't see kids outside playing so much.
No.
Now, maybe moms and dads take them to the park or something like that.
I think that's probably what happens more, right? But then that's not the same as, when you or I were kids and it was get out of the house and
come back when the street lights are on.
Yeah, come back at dark, right? Like for dinner.
Okay.
And we just don't. That's not a thing that we do anymore. And what's funny is they couldn't track us. And the kids all have phones nowadays, so you could actually track them.
That is true. That is true.
But again, we want to get back to not bringing the phones with us. So for a parent to bring the child to a playground means that then they've got to go.
Okay,
and it's supervision.
Sure. And I can't be at home doing the chores around the house that I got to do, the laundry,
It's different. So it's a lot easier to just say, here's this tablet and do the thing on that. But that's a function of our brains anyway, right? Like we tend towards the lazy thing as humans. I mean, people can say, well, I'm not a procrastinator. I'm not lazy. Yeah, your brain is.
Okay.
Your brain wants you to do the easy thing.
Can you do, okay, what about, you mentioned playing games, but even stuff like, okay, my parents encouraged us to learn, well, my mom or dad would do really well. You find something to entertain yourself or we will. And of course, we will entertain was chores. Really unpleasant, unenjoyable activities. So we would go play, and I'd play with Lincoln Logs or Tinker Toys or Legos, coloring books. I mean, do we not do that? Do kids not want to play with toys like that?
I don't know. I saw a great meme that's kind of along those lines, that said, it is a woman, sitting by the pool, and she said, I told my kids to come get me in 20 minutes so we can deep clean the house. And you could bet that she will be left alone for hours. They will not come. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of a psychological twist of, instead of threatening, we'll find something for you to do. It's, give us our time here for a few minutes and come get us in 20 minutes and we'll do this other thing
that you don't want to do.
You don't want to do. And then it's like, no, I just won't come get you. I'll go find my thing to do.
Well, I gotta say, I have said this on more than one occasion to many different folks. We as adults take to social media, of all things.
Yeah.
And we complain about the youth of today, saying, well, the kids of today, they don't know how to, write in cursive. Children for today can't drive a stick shift. Well, okay.
And what I would say to that is you probably can't do calligraphy and you're not very good at riding a horse, more than likely.
No, I don't do calligraphy. I can ride a horse.
Things always advance.
True. But at the same time, why can't you? You can go get a stick shift vehicle.
You can.
And you can,
They're hard to come by, but yes.
Really?
Yeah. Unless you live in Europe.
Okay. I haven't.
Outside of the United States, they're pretty easy. But again, we're lazy, so
okay.
We'd rather.
But I mean, even if they don't teach cursive at school, you could teach it at home.
You can.
And I mean, I don't know. I just
assuming
sometimes
you know how to do it.
Well, okay, that is true. That is true.
Or then you are reverting to, let's go to YouTube and figure out how to do it, and then we're back to the device.
Exactly,
which isn't bad. It's not bad to learn from the device, right? But we want to try to get back to getting away from that.
Well, and that's where there is a lot of science that says that when we are playing by ourselves, when we're unstructured time, when we are being forced to, quote, and I put that in air quotes, entertain ourselves, that self-play, that off the technology play type thing is going to help actually develop our imagination.
Yeah.
It's going to help our creativity.
Yeah.
It is going to increase our happiness. That kind of play helps actually relieve stress. And when we're playing with other kids, it helps us build empathy and collaboration. All these things that, last time we talked about building resiliency. These are the kinds of things. And
right.
I got to say, though, in the same token, when I was a kid, all I wanted was to play my Atari.
Sure.
Or stop by the arcade and play for as long as $1 would last me.
But when we were kids, our parents would try to limit our TV time.
True.
Right. And now we just keep giving it to them. I can remember being told, I'm going to go blind or something from watching TV. My eyesight's going to go bad, and that now we put screens 2 inches from our face.
Yeah.
And, and we think, probably nothing wrong with that. So it's just, it's interesting how things change, but, we're never going to get rid of the phones.
No.
We're never going to get rid of the tablets. We're never going to get rid of that stuff. It's going to be there. So we have to learn to live with it and deal with it and use it to our, the best of our ability and to our benefit. But that's just a new thing now that we have to learn to also teach kids to do. And to do that, we're going to have to learn to do it ourselves first.
Yeah.
So it's a big challenge.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a challenge for us as kids. We aren't kids anymore. But us as adults to be able to do that because, and I know I've shared this on more than one podcast, but the number of times you go out to dinner, Sherry and I go out to dinner, and the people are on their phones.
Yeah.
And they're now, I will have to say I've had to temper some of that from time to time because we'll be like, okay, we were out eating dinner here, Sherry and I were last weekend, and I'm going, okay. And we were talking about a TV show.
Yeah.
And I go, ooh, well, let me pull out IMDb and look it up.
Yeah.
So I did. And sometimes when we're out, she'll get a call or a text from, somebody watching her mom because, her mom lives with us. And so we'll do that. But I think I like to argue that that's different than when you have, mom, dad, and a pair of kids, and they're all on their devices. They're all engaged playing games, and they're not really talking to each other.
Well, the question is, does it add to the conversation or does it detract from it? Or does it distract from it?
I would say for Sherry and I, a lot of times,
if you're all talking about something and you want to know the answer and somebody looks it up, that's different, right? Because then you just go back to putting the phone down.
Yeah. So,
but it's a resource at that point, right?
Okay.
For that conversation. But if everybody's just picking up their phone and doing their own thing, why are we even out to dinner?
I've asked that question.
I could do that with a bowl of cereal, right? I mean, why are we out paying for the service and the experience, which is a social experience, right? It's supposed to be connecting with other people over that dinner table. So, we were out to dinner last night.
Okay.
Like that. So, it just, it was a good time. We put our phones down.
And it is hard. I'm not perfect at it. I do desperately try to make a concerted effort to not have that phone, to leave it off to the side. I mean, I pull it out of my pocket so I don't sit on it and break it, but I don't have it face up. I don't try to engage with it, and I'll just, hey, I'll talk to you like you and I are doing right now. We are having a face-to-face conversation, and I am a firm believer that builds better relations than isolating yourself, which is why schools are trying to do away with it. Now, you're right. I will be curious, and I actually had a member of our local school board in talking to my students the other week, and that's one of the things that came up. And the board member was saying, well, we're going to have to look and see what are all of our options. What kind of funding does the state give? What's the language say about what we do?
Right. It's complicated.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues, but I truly do believe that will be good. But the thing that will have to also happen, teachers have to be off of their phones as well. Because if the kids are not allowed to have their phone, but we are, and we're on it. They're doing a lesson, and we're busy over texting and all that other kind of stuff, or playing video games. I think we're sending the wrong kind of message.
Yeah, and I think that gets back to what as a parent, what are parents doing? If the parent sits down to watch TV and is scrolling on their phone, then why shouldn't the kid do it?
And that's, you and I've talked about that's one of the things I do in my classroom. If the kids can't have their phone, I'm not on my phone.
You're really good at that. You're really, really good at that.
Well, because it's model what you want. Practice what you preach, however idiom you want to put in there. But it is hard. It is challenging. It does also make my battery on my phone last all school day.
Well, and that's something I tell them too, right? Like, put it away, and your battery won't be dead. Then when you want to use it when it's appropriate, it'll be fine, right? But I mentioned earlier about us being lazy, right? Like our brains being lazy.
Okay,
and I'm not just making that up. That's actually comes from we tend towards laziness. It comes from Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow.
Okay.
It's a really good book. Talks about two parts of your brain.
Oh, yeah.
And how there's one part that, it does that whole what you see is all there is, and it's just really lazy, right? It just wants to do the lazy thing. And then there's that second part of your brain, which is where the engagement happens.
Yeah.
And, kids would rather just, and it's not like their fault. They're not like, it's not a character flaw per se. It's just the fact that all of us, our brains would tend towards that laziness. That's why you sit down and you just like pull out your phone and you go to scrolling, and then 2 hours later you're like, wait a minute, what happened to that time? Right? Because it was super lazy.
Yeah.
And you just feed on that, and you don't have to think, and you don't have, so it's tending towards that. Whereas in schools, we're trying to get to that second portion of the brain where we're trying to engage the student into thinking, critically.
Yeah.
And analyzing and doing all those things. Well, that's a lot harder. So when kids say, well, the thinking is hard, they're not wrong. It is. It's more work, and it makes you more tired. But it's what we need, right? It's what we need to do as humans to continue to learn and get through life. And so we can't just scroll, which is what all the advertisers on social media want us to do.
Exactly.
Right? They own you.
Well, and
you're making them money.
And that's where, there's plenty of data from years and years of longitudinal studies that talk about, in some ways, video games can be a benefit. But there's also just as many that show that if you don't have a balance, too much time can be damaging to your growth and development. And again, it goes back to moderation. And that is so hard to do, because as a kid, all you want to do is what's fun and enjoyable. Right. What's not fun, what's not necessarily enjoyable all the time, is learning something that somebody else says you need to learn.
I think it's funny that, for years we've talked about, do video games, psychologically, are they causing problems? Are they causing crime? Are they doing these things? Right? People can talk about what you consume, what you look at will determine how you act, and there's lots of debate about how effectual that is for people. But in social media, we're not even hiding it.
No,
right? You know what we call those people?
Okay, what?
Influencers. Right? I mean, we're literally calling them influencers. And then are we suggesting that they're not influencing our kids?
Yeah. And right? A lot of our kids want to be
that's
influencers.
That's what they call them.
Yeah.
So definitely that's what they're doing. They're influencing the kids, and the kids are just taking it in because it's all they're seeing. And so we've got to find a way to, it's not going to go away.
No.
So we've got to find a way to control it.
True.
On our end. Right. And that, to me, that goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, just doing some kind of a detox.
Yeah.
Some kind of call it a fast if you want, right? Like some religions do, right? Like just take it and put it aside for a period of time that you predetermine, and don't look at it.
I think that if we as adults do that a little more often, and we then get our kids to do that, even though they don't want to, and you replace it with engaging activities like you were saying, together as a family, we are going to do this. Together as a family, we're going to do that. And you put those off to the side. I think that can absolutely have much better impact on family dynamics, help you, you're each individual person in the family is helping build resilience, so that when families come across tougher times, together as a family, you can have that resilience to overcome, or at least better manage, what the crisis might be. And I sometimes wonder if many of the problems that families suffer or struggle with today has to do with the fact that we are not so much a family member as 3, 4, 5 roommates living together with the same last name.
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, I think that the first step here, like we said initially, is to recognize that it's a problem, and so probably having a discussion with your kids about how much time are we actually spending on these things? The devices keep track of it, so you can look it up.
Yeah.
And how much time? Like, let's recognize how much time we spend on it. And it can even show you what time of day those things are taking place. So you can see, you're at school then, and you're spending time on your phone. That means probably explains the report card.
Exactly.
So it's just, recognize it and then talk about what can we do? Mm-hmm. What are some things that, get some ideas. They probably have some ideas. I've talked to kids who say that they know that they need to do these things. So prompting from parents to get them to think about what could they do might actually help. I
really do think that is, you got to live with technology, but you can't let it dictate you. So,
well, all right. I think that's all the time we have.
Okay. Well, good conversation. I'm glad you brought this up. And I guess until next time, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
See ya.
Bye-bye.